now at how the market fared this week with Bell Direct's Leanne Jones.
We've seen a strong performance across our market this week. If we have a look at the performance of the ASX 200 for the week, it is in fact up around 0.5%. And it does seem like investors seem to shrug off a lot of the concerns around the violence in Iraq, and it was more focused on that optimistic data that's coming out of the US as well as China. And of course, we are continuing to see a lot of merger and acquisition across all sectors of our market. If we have a look at the China data earlier in the week, we saw that manufacturing read coming through ahead of forecasts and ahead of the previous read. And I think this really indicates that potentially the demand out of China is back on track. And we did see a fairly strong performance out of a lot of the iron ore as well as copper stocks during the week. If we have a look at the US, we did in fact see some strong housing data coming through, where we did see new home sales for May up around 4.9%, and we also did see a strong consumer confidence data coming through, which was in fact at its highest level since January 2008. And really, I think that indicates that the economic recovery over in the US is starting to regain some momentum after we did see a fairly weak first quarter GDP read. Despite some of this strong data that is coming out of the US and China, I do think that shares potentially remain vulnerable to a mid-year correction. We are continuing to see this confession season. During the week, we saw the likes of Kathmandu as well as Caltex posting downgrades. And of course, I also do think that Iraq potentially could be a short-term trigger for a mid-year correction. However, if we did receive a correction, I do think it would only be mild, and it should be viewed as a buying opportunity for investors. Having a look at the best performers this week, it was in fact the telecommunications sector up 1.6%, as well as materials up 1.45%. The worst performer was the financial sector, down around 0.1%. Having a look at the week ahead, on Monday we have new home sales as well as private sector credit out for May. On Tuesday we have Australia's manufacturing index due through for June, and of course we also have that all-important RBA rate decision, where we are expecting rates will remain on hold at around 2.5%. On Wednesday we have Australia's trade balance due through for May, and on Thursday we have retail sales as well as building approvals through for May. On Thursday night we will actually receive US unemployment data through, as well as non-farm payroll data, which potentially could be a market driver for Friday. So we don't actually have any major company news out next week. It more will be around that economic news, and we are hoping that investors will continue to shrug off a lot of those concerns around Iraq.